Cafe anyway.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
How was Valentine's Day? Isn't it funny how once it's over, everybody just like, oh, that did not happen.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Let's just ignore that we were even concerned with that. It's so weird. Everything gets thrown in the trash and then it's all thrown away because people want to move on to Easter time and that other thing that happens every year. It's
Mike's Daily Podcast.
St. Patrick's Day, or am I wrong? Cinco de Mayo? No. Graduation, whatever.
Mike's
It's episode
Daily
2000
Podcast.
562.
Yeah!
2562. And just a day, I'm happy. The sun was out today in Podcastro Valley. Still very cold, chilly for these parts anyway. And people are driving weird. And they do that thing. Do you know what thing I'm talking about? They do the thing where they cut in front of you. They pull out in front of you. You're driving down the street and they pull out in front of you and don't bother to accelerate to match the speed you're going. Because people have bad eyesight. People can't see, apparently, here in the Bay Area. They're all blind as bats. Not to put down bats, but they're blind and they eat things because they got the radar. And that's really awesome. Not like the sonar, like the dolphins do. But they do the radar. And they get the little bugs flying around. And the late great Basil the Boxer, who we will hear in just a little bit, used to bark at them regularly. But today I have the pet called Rocky the cat, on my lap at the moment. So they pull out in front of you, slow down. You almost smash into them. This happened about 5 times today in my little 35-minute drive. And then people do that thing where you're at a light and they need to...
And here's today's podcast picture.
There's a picture of somebody doing this, by the way. They're in the far right lane, and here in California, you can turn right on the light unless it's otherwise designated that you can't. And it says, no turning on the right, on the light, on the right. Right on the light. And people, they just sit there, even though they got a perfect chance to turn a right. Well, you can't go past them until they do that. And you said, what are you waiting for? And the thing is, people are just consumed with these dang phones. Maybe you're listening to me through your smartphone. But smartphones, and the late great Basil the Boxer would agree, smartphones make us dumb. Very stupid. It's true. And everyone here behind me, behind the microphone that you can hear in the background, here at Cafe Anyway, somewhere in Podcastro Valley, they agree with me that people get stupid when it comes to smartphones. Okay. Oh, the late great Basil the Boxer barked, and then the wonderful cat known as Rocky has bolted out of Cafe Anyway. Everybody just be careful. Don't step on the cat. Thank you. So what other things are going on in this great big humongous world in which we live? And other things. Oh, somebody made the following commentary. The social panic over disinformation reached a new low last week, says this commentary, which is interesting because in that first sentence, they seem to insinuate that disinformation does not exist. Even though Trump said fake news, and even though people are constantly saying lies and misinformation or disinformation. Is it disinformation or misinformation? But this person goes on to write, an expose in the Washington Examiner revealed that Microsoft had blocked advertisers from sponsoring hundreds of conservative websites based on secret blacklists created by a company calling itself the Global Disinformation Index, without any data and without any attempt at engagement. This GDI smeared hundreds of conservative sites and writers and attempted to put them out of business. I see. And then it goes on to mention some of these people. There was no evidence. Most hilariously, says this commentary, GDI's public report hailed BuzzFeed as one of the most reliable sources even after its publication of outright disinformation and things that pertained to Trump, says this commentator. While rating the Libertarian Reason magazine site as one of the highest risks for disinformation. Well, I had not heard about that. I know Twitter had tried to ban people, and Facebook had tried to ban people. As we recall, it was all going back to the wonderful 2016 election. And did the Russians influence that election? That was the big thing. But it's ridiculous that we put so much importance on social media when we should really all not even be on it. But we're bored. And that's why TikTok has flown into the stratosphere, because people are bored and they love that constant adrenaline kick they get from swiping and clicking and swiping. Get off of TikTok is what I'm trying to say. And probably get off of Facebook as well, and Twitter. But pretty soon you won't have to get off Twitter because Elon Musk keeps making it crash or whatever he's doing. Now, speaking of COVID, was I talking about COVID? Well, disinformation, misinformation. There is misinformation about COVID, but House Republicans have asked former White House Chief Medical Advisor Dr. Anthony to testify before Congress as they launch a new investigation into the origins of COVID-19. The GOP leaders of the Select Committee on the Coronavirus Pandemic and Committee on Oversight and Accountability sent a letter to Fauci on Monday requesting a transcribed interview. Fauci said in November that he would cooperate with any oversight hearing in the Republican-led House. This according to CNBC. As we go outside a cafe anyway, where we bring you Mike's Daily Podcast somewhere in Podcastro Valley, the last place on earth. Many scientists, including Fauci, who until December served as Biden's chief medical advisor, say they still believe the virus most likely emerged in nature and jumped from animals to humans. A well-documented phenomenon known as a spillover event. Virus researchers have not publicly identified any key new scientific evidence that might make the lab leak hypothesis more likely, according to Associated Press. But of course, it's going to be Wuhan lab, Wuhan lab, Wuhan lab. And with the balloons, people are like, oh, there's diseases from the Wuhan lab in those balloons coming over. But speaking of which, NORAD intercepted 4 Russian aircrafts over the Alaska Air Defense Identification Zone. According to Fox News, 4 Russian aircraft were detected and intercepted over the Alaska Air Defense Identification Zone. This was Monday. NORAD calls that a routine incident. 2 F-16 fighter jets were dispatched by NORAD to intercept the Russian aircraft since 2007. Russian aircraft have been intercepted in the North America ADIZ 6 to 7 times a year, the Air Defense Identification Zone. 6 to 7 times a year. The command noted that the incident is in no way related to objects shot down over the United States and Canada this month, and that Russian aircraft did not enter the 2 countries' sovereign airspace. That according to The Hill website. Fascinating. And then this bit of news, and we had the wonderful Basil the Boxer earlier, but this pertains to other dogs. According to the television channel ABC 10, a new effort is underway to ban police from using police dogs to arrest or apprehend suspects. If passed, it would also ban police from using them for crowd control. The lawmaker in California behind the bill, newly elected Assemblymember Corey Jackson, said that the use of police canines has been the backbone of this country's history of racial bias and violence against Black Americans. Assemblymember Jackson said the police canines were first used by slave catchers and are a violent carryover from America's dark past. All this bill would do is decrease public safety, said one commentator, and police dogs have been essential in various other law enforcement duties, not least being tasked with saving the lives of fellow officers. I think if you're a dog lover, you can't help but be offended by this story. Dogs see race? What? That's coming from somebody who just hates dogs, period, and had no good experience with dogs. I get it. I understand. There was a very brief period in my life. I was dating someone and she was afraid of dogs, so I became afraid of dogs. She told me, oh, once this dog bit my face. And then I was, oh, dogs are scary. Well, it later came out that she was antagonizing the dog and like putting her face in the dog's face, and the dog being, I mean, probably not the most well-trained dog, the best trained dog, but still, it's gonna do stuff like that. If you wave your, it's like the guy sticking his head in a lion's mouth at the circus. Sooner or later, that's not gonna work out very well. Just like I got really nicely scratched on Valentine's Day. I got a nice Valentine's Day scratch from Rocky the cat. Nikki Haley has entered the 2024 presidential race. I'm so happy about that because she was asked point blank a couple of years ago she would, and she was afraid. She was frightened by all the Trump fans, all the Trump supporters, and said, no, I would never do that. I love Trump, da-da-da-da-da. Well, because she worked for Trump, but now it's a thing. So you go. I went into that expression, didn't I? You go, girl. Ms. Haley's remarks seem to reference the age of some of the top candidates expected to be in the race. Oh, yeah, because she's much younger. Trump is 76. Biden is going to be, he is 80. The 51-year-old Nikki Haley is the first, wow, she's younger than me. You go, girl. Is the first major Republican candidate to commit to taking on Mr. Trump, who launched his third consecutive White House bid in November, and remains the party's dominant figure even after disappointing GOP results in the past three national elections. And I love how I'm starting to hear conservative talk show hosts say, oh, maybe we did lose that election because people didn't like Trump because they were sick of him. Maybe we should give other candidates a chance. Maybe this whole fantasy about the tech cabal, the tech world, Silicon Valley cabal of super programmers who are able to hack into all the election machines, the voting machines, and change the election. Maybe that really didn't happen, because how have Republicans won several elections since then? Maybe not Trump, but a lot of other politicians, Republican politicians, have won. And finally, this. Teen girls are experiencing record high levels of sadness and violence. This according to Axios. And a new report published Monday by Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. 57% of teen girls in 2021 reported feeling persistently sad or hopeless over the past year. That is up by 36% over the past 10 years, the highest rate seen in the last decade. By comparison, 29% of teen boys reported feeling persistently sad or hopeless in 2021, compared to 21% in 2011. So it went up 8% in the 10 years. LGBTQ plus students and students with same-sex partners also reported high levels of sadness and hopelessness in 2021 at 69% and 78% respectively. About 30% of teen girls said they had seriously considered attempting suicide. That is up from 19% over 10 years ago. NBC says the survey did not ask students about reasons for their feelings of sadness or thoughts of harming themselves. While anxiety and depression increased among teens during the pandemic, the trends, especially among girls, have been building for years. So, something to consider what's going on with the younger generation. Hey, when I was considered part of the younger generation in the 80s, we were scared about the bomb. And so were the kids in the 70s and the 60s and the 50s. It was a thing in the 40s. It was a thing that stayed with us for quite a while. Now it's all kinds of other stuff that is what antagonizes the young people today. We're outside a cafe anyway, somewhere in Podcastro Valley. And I'm going to quote a line from the band Argent. Hold your head up high. Things will get better. They will. You'll get older. And then you'll be me. And I'm old. And then you'll be like, oh, young people today. And you'll get there and you'll go, yes, I did it. Mike was right. I got there. Took a little while. But not even Rocky the cat could get in my way with his big claws, which I have to trim. Look who's here. Hi, Mike. It's Benita the Rodeo Queen. How's y'all doing?
It's a disgruntled fiddle player. Tell you what.
What?
You sure went on some kind of rampage the other day when you were talking about people putting down Biden, which they should do regularly. Tell you what.
What?
That's what they should do.
Well, it's funny. There's a house I drive past, and there's a big sign out front. Yes, even in California, there's a sign. It doesn't say go Brandon or any of that stuff, but it does have a sign that says Biden sucks.
Well, I want that sign.
No. It just seems that to bash Biden bashing, you know, everybody was like, oh, they bash Trump. Well, no, there's a lot of Biden bashing. There's a lot of Obama bashing. Every president gets it. Like in this commentary, somebody wrote, 4 identified flying objects have been shot down over America since last Friday, but it took until Monday afternoon for the White House to start telling Americans what was going on. Canadians heard from their defense minister on Saturday. Here, no one but press have been able to have made available to reporters. No one, even congressmen and governors, have complained about being left in the dark. People were left to wonder if there had been further Chinese encroachments or whether we are finally experiencing the alien incursion of science fiction lore. Then on Monday afternoon, the White House ruled out alien invasion, but shared scant more information. So they're basically complaining, hey, they took too long to get that information out there. The Biden White House fails to inspire confidence. Worse, its silence registers a lack of care and outright contempt for the American people. We're not entitled to state secrets, but we do have a right to know what is flying over our country and why. Okay, do you think that's true? Do you think they're not giving us all the info? I can think of some Republican administrations that didn't give us all the info. So what's going on there? Disgruntled Fiddle Player?
What? I wasn't listening.
Look, who else is here?
Hello, am I gonna make the delicious root beer? Have some right now. Oh, boy.
Thank you. Oh, this looks really good, this root beer. And by the way, you can call me and tell me what you think about all this. If this presidential cabinet group administration is communicating enough with us, or could they do a better job? Or was any of them doing a good job? Personally, I don't know. I think I guess everybody could do a better job and communicate better. We're bad communicators inherently. I think it's part of our nature as humans not to communicate well. And in fact, you can communicate with me at 510-228-4640. And it's particularly funny when you work at a broadcasting facility, a place that specializes in communication, and people don't communicate with each other very well. But That's how it is, and that's what I've observed in my life. But if you would like to call me and let me know what you think, 510-228-4640, and with other ways to reach me, it's A-Frame. Oh, hey, Brewmaster.
Drink it right now, I'll cut you.
Okay, yes, I'm getting to that now.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at mikesdailypodcast.com. Email Mike now at mikesdailypodcast@gmail.com. See you tomorrow. Bye.